Am I live? Am I in focus? Oh, there I am. Okay. Now we can all watch me, talk to me, watch myself, have a party. Now we can all watch me, talk to me, watch myself. Nope, enough of that. Hi, I'm not gonna wait for viewers or chatters or anything. I'm just gonna start talking as if I have an audience. I am recording all of this, so I might make it into a shorter video at some point. I don't really know, because I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't have specific plans. I just have general plans of, oh, hey, we got our internet upgraded. I can stream now. I'm going to do that. It's probably going to be very start and stop. You know, there's no schedule. There's no plan. There's no itinerary. There's no sponsors, so that's fun. If anyone's showing you ads, it's not me, and I'm not making any money off it. I quit my job last year, and so if there is a way for me to make money streaming, I might, well, you know, that doesn't involve running ads. That's the thing. Like, I might take subs and donations, but I don't want to run any ads if I can help it. But, like, Twitch is owned by Amazon, and Amazon just likes to pretend that they own the things that people make on their platforms. And one of the things I would like to maybe make is, like, an alternative to Twitch, but there's just so much that goes into making an app or a platform and running it and hosting it and everything, and there's so many different options for a new app or platform that I don't really know what to focus on, where to start. I've been brainstorming a few ideas, but like it's hard to say what would be worth committing to, especially if I only have one more shot. Because I'm hoping that I'll find something, even if, you know, the streaming is just a stepping stone to figuring out what I'm doing next. I'm hoping that I get something by the end of this year that I can make money doing sustainably, without having to sacrifice myself. Because, like, I've never been able to make a living doing what I want to do. I've always had to, you know, work for someone else, do, not the worst things ever, just like boring computer science stuff, basically. In very high pressure environments, chasing moving targets and constantly having to learn new things that are like made bad on purpose to facilitate fascism. But we're not allowed to say that, and so we all have to pretend that, you know, oh, it's just because, you know, that's how it is. Oh, they're always making funny decisions over there, and like, so yeah, I don't want to work for a place that makes me put on a human suit and pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm not a normal person. I don't think I'm a dangerous person. But I was abused by my parents, broken at a very young age, had to kill my own ego and basically, you know, be whatever puppet they wanted me to be. And pretend that that's not what I was doing, because if I did that, then they would feel bad, and I wasn't allowed to make them feel bad by showing them the real consequences of their mistakes. So now that I'm 33 and trying to get them to face them, they're just lying about it. They're saying that it was a self-fulfilling prophecy that I brought upon myself. I guess they think I was a bad kid who deserved to be hit. I don't know. I don't think children deserve to be hit. That's my stance. So yeah, I'll be talking a lot, I guess, about corporal punishment and religious trauma and capitalism, fascism, the end state of our country. But it's important to note that I don't know the future. I'm definitely not an expert. I've just lived in America my whole life and have suffered immensely as a result of a stupid population that just doesn't want to learn, that just doesn't want to get better, because that takes work from them. And they're comfortable where they are. They don't want to change anything about themselves. It's so much easier to say it's someone else's fault. And like, it frustrates me when people try to turn that around on me, because like, my parents had me, abused me, chose everything for me. I did not get a choice. I did not get a choice in capitalism. I had to go the ways that were paved for me. Every other way that I wanted to go that looked like, you know, good and healthy, they said, no, you can't do that. That's wrong and stupid. Don't go there. Don't do that. You cannot make a living that way. We will punish you for trying. But playing along also didn't work. I don't recommend that at all. And I didn't think that's what I was doing. I thought I was being smarter than that, but it is easy to get tricked, and it is easy to trust the wrong people. It is easy to make mistakes. A lot of mistakes compound on each other, too, and end up leading to bigger problems than anyone could predict. Like, we still can't even measure the impact of most of our decisions. I feel like I'm switching tracks here now, but every piece of knowledge that we refine is something that we can build on. And, you know, the closer it is to the truth, the more solid and reliable it is. The more consistently we can apply it. But it's hard to see those patterns. says I'm unstable. It says my stream is unstable. Average stream bitrate too high. Oh. Oh. Sorry. That fiber internet is pretty good. I'm assuming that's fine, right? Like, the frames, like, it looks very smooth. Yeah, 1080p, 60, okay. So that should be fine. I don't know what I want to do. Now there's so many possibilities. Oh yeah, I guess they're bringing asbestos back. That's stupid. It's just stupid. There's no justification for it. People are gonna get sick. People are probably gonna die. For asbestos. Something that we know is harmful and we shouldn't be using the way we were using it before. A lot of ice raids in LA, Chicago, other places. You know, a lot of bummer stuff. Frankly, the whole end of the world situation is a downer. But I mean, there's good to see in it as well. You know, there's a lot of people trying to work together and fighting, fighting with everything that they have, and it's so frustrating because it's so clear that fascism is wrong, that it's just not sustainable. But it's so, I can't show it to the people who don't want to see it. And even though the people who are right are like kicking their asses, like walking circles around them in terms of debate and the points that they're making, they just brute force and like overwhelm and ignore reality, ignore the fact that they're hurting themselves too, and continue spreading their like stupid brain rot. Well, I guess I've been living alone for a while now, having quit my job last year, having moved out of my ex's last winter, late last year. And it's June now, so I've been on my own for like half a year. And I have a few different activities that I do to like pass the time and keep my mind sharp. Obviously reading, connecting with people on social media and other things. And occasionally I talk to real life people, like when I go to stores and you know, chat with the landlady and things like that. I guess it's never going to be clear who I'm talking to. It's to whom it may concern, basically. A lot of it is kind of, I don't want to say just for me, but like it's all from my perspective, and until I get feedback, it's just going to be me talking to myself about the things that are happening and that I'm going through, and how I think about them. I feel like I'm not making very good points right now, but that's okay. Language is a lot more flexible than people like to pretend. And it's difficult when we live in a world with so many people, because if millions of them are using a word a certain way, well, that feels like the definition. And if you're using the word a different way, they're not going to recognize it, and you're not going to recognize their version. And it's like, well, who's right and wrong? Not necessarily anyone, but how do we then unify the definition? How do we say, well, if we can't use this word, what more specific words can we get to like break it down, to convey it in a different way that we can agree on? Because we do live in a physical world, we can identify things around us. People who are willing to deny reality right in front of their faces are dangerous. That's certainly an option. You can do that. You can lie about the things in front of you, but you make yourself vulnerable and you hurt everyone when you do that. At the end of the day, I cannot stop people from just being wrong, but I can try. I think that the average person is honest enough that they don't want to be wrong, that they would rather their beliefs align with reality as much as possible. And I think that they can kind of tell a difference when it's side by side, but when it's not, it's very easy to pretend that the lies are just as good or even better than what's actually happening, or what would be best. I'm gonna refill my water before I go on talking. I turned my AC off for the noise, and it's not too hot yet, but it might get there. And just talking, and I may have been dehydrated to start. Oh yeah, this is a Zelda glass too. It's pretty nice. My ex got it for me. Fuck that guy though. I hate what he did to me. I don't think he's a bad person. I think the average person is a bad person, and he's an average person. He's slightly above average, but just not enough to help me. It he made things worse instead of better, and I really needed him. I really needed anyone in my corner, and everyone said, no, you're the problem. I really don't think I am. I think my parents abusing me was the problem. And I guess just no one has capacity to help me today. So I'm doing what I can on my own. I did try some therapists. They didn't help. They made things worse too. People are not very smart. The therapists in America, at least the ones that I was unfortunate enough to encounter, are not trained to help us. They're conditioned to placate and, to distract, to say, yeah, maybe there's endless depths to explore in ourselves. Maybe nothing's really a problem, Maybe there's no real problems. It's just a matter of perspective. Yeah, maybe. But I don't want to die for that. I don't want to die because you're not taking the threat seriously. And I don't want you to tell me to stop taking a threat seriously when I know that there are people who want me dead. I'm not gonna look away from that. I'm gonna keep pointing that out until it goes away, until we can, defend against it, remove it all. Educate everybody. That's all it takes, but people are scared, and flipping that process is so hard. But I feel like it's easier than most people think, but the specifics I can't spell out yet. And so I can't trace the process from taking a person who thinks backwards, who starts with their conclusions and warps the world to fit, and get them to spin around the other way, to start challenging their assumptions, to start asking questions, and to start breaking down lies instead of building them up, and to start defending truth instead of covering it up. It sounds simple, but the actual mechanisms in our heads are so complex. And every individual has lived their own life, has had their own narrative told to them, and has their own narrative that they believe that aligns more or less with reality than the next person. I don't know. I don't know what else I want to talk about, and I need to refill my water again. I'm not absent-minded. I'm scatterbrained. Out of necessity. There's so much bullshit going on that I gotta keep track of and be on top of. But I am getting a little bit better at organizing myself, internally at least. I don't know how exactly to describe the time frame, but recently I was contemplating ending my own life, and the fear prevented me. Okay, yeah. Obviously, content warning. Gonna talk about some suicidal tendencies here. Maybe I should put a thing on screen, actually. I don't know if it has any formatting or, That's a tiny drop shadow. Okay, well. There. Now I can talk about things, and I feel like people will be less jarred. I worry about people just tuning into the stream and being like, oh, hey, Snoop Squeak, that's a cute name. What's he talking about? I hadn't yet started pulling on the thread of cause and effect in my life. I just knew that things were wrong and bad, and there didn't seem to be any better options, and I was scared. And so I was genuinely wondering, would it be best if I just took myself out of the world? If I was no longer a burden on society, on the people around me, the people in my life? I never wanted to be a burden on them. I was always trying to help us all, pull us all up. But I feel like people never understood what I was trying to say, never understood why the truth is so important. And so time and time again, they would convince me to go along with their bullshit. And I would. Against my better judgment, I would, because I didn't want to upset my friends. I didn't want to lose more connections that I might need. And I made the mistake of trusting them. And so when things got bad and I tried to, rely on them, I needed them, it's like we didn't even know each other. We couldn't talk. Because I was always being something else for them. And I guess maybe they didn't realize. It was a lot closer to how my parents treated me and how I acted to them. than maybe they knew. Um, and we should have talked about everything more. That's definitely true. I think we were all scared. But that was a second wave of friends. I need to find another word for them because I don't think they were really my friends. I think we were all just pretending. I think the only real friends I had in my life were my elementary school friends, who, I life bonded with, basically. And then I was taken from them. And I was never okay ever again. I really wasn't okay even at the time, they were my ground. They were my reasonable, loving friends in a world where my parents were these hateful monsters, stupid monsters that I couldn't talk to. And so when my parents took me from my friends, I knew that was the end of my life. That was whatever broken person I was trying to be couldn't carry on anymore. Like, I wasn't a full person. I was a mostly broken person leaning on my friends for support. So I was like 1/4 of a person because I had 3 friends and they were all very smart. And we would play games. We would run around. We would play tag. Recess was still a thing. It was great. That's when I was like most alive. And so this past year or so, when I was feeling suicidal, because I felt like, there's no way forward, there's no good options, I've blown every best shot in my life, and there's no, I seem to be an inconvenience for people, I seem to be a burden in general, maybe if I die, someone else can use my stuff, I don't know. And, personal sustainability. I didn't think I could go on. I'm still not sure I can. But there's nothing stopping me from trying, Not yet. I've made a lot farther than I expected, that's for sure. But yeah, while I was considering it, I was trying to plan, and trying to plot out, how can I go through with it, and what would be best. Because I don't want to be messy. I don't want to traumatize others with my passing. Well, maybe I do, but if I do, I want to do it in the right way. I want them to learn the right message from it, if that makes sense. Because I got to thinking and I got to writing in a journal, and I was like, oh man, I could leave notes and try to explain, I think it's my parents that abused me and all this other stuff, because I had tried calling them at that point, and they were just not talking to me while pretending to talk to me. Fuck, I'm probably gonna cry like a little baby on stream in a few minutes. I'm gonna break down to that point. I'm fine. I'm fine now. This is all part of my recovery process. You missed the worst shit. Don't worry. You missed the worst shit. And I'll talk about it as we go. But I don't want to hold back, and I want to get it all out as much as I can. Because bottling it up and pretending it didn't happen is what caused most of these problems. And we're never going to break the cycle if I can't. So, I was trying to, work on my exit strategy. I was thinking that if I took myself out, I would be done suffering. Others would be relieved. And a world that clearly doesn't want me could be happier, can move on and do whatever they think is going to work out for them. And whether it does or not, at least they can be, pin it on me. At that point, I don't care. I'm already dead and gone. Keep scapegoating my corpse. Why not? But ideally, I would want someone to learn. I want to give the best shot of people coming to their senses and figuring out what's going on, especially of preventing what happened to me from happening to anyone else. Because they want to pretend it's a fluke when it is their text. It's their process. It's fundamental. Their love is hate. And that's my Christian parents I'm talking about mostly. And that's not crying like a baby. That's just crying. You'll see baby later. Probably. If I keep going long enough, you definitely will. Everything's inevitable given enough time, right? Given enough time and resources. But so while I was thinking, this is a win-win, good for me, good for the world, good for everyone. What else can I do? How can I, like, make it count, I guess? How can I lock it in? I don't know what I mean. I wanted to write a really good note that would explain everything and make perfect sense, and then my death would be like, would change things. Would change things for the actual victims who still have some hope if things were to change today. But of course, what I realized is that people like my parents would lie. Would lie about what the note meant, would lie about what the entire book meant. Just like they lie about their own religious book. And that no matter how clearly I called out their abuse, they would continue spreading it. They would never turn around. So I can't. There's that level of I can't just leave a note, I can't trust a note, I have to be present to defend myself or someone will lie about me. The other aspect was that I was scared, and yeah. I guess I won't get too specific about the method that I was gonna use, but I had a plan. I was starting to form a plan in my head, and I was starting to talk myself through it to see if, is this viable? Would this work? Would it look right to me in my head? And I imagined myself, in position, as comfortable as could be, ready to do the thing, and wondering, would I be able to? Because in theory, it's conceptually no different than pressing a button, pulling a lever, unlocking your phone, just a thing that you do, pulling a trigger. Small actions can have very big consequences, and I know that. So it would be difficult to kill myself, because that survival instinct is like, hey, that little thing you're doing, I know what that's gonna do. Maybe don't do that. Maybe I won't let you do that. And so if I was actually going to end myself, I think that I would need some way to distract myself, even just for a second. And then I'm scared of, like, what is it like to die, I know once it's over I won't care. But as it's happening, that sounds really terrifying. Like, I don't even want to experience that. And so I was trying to think of ways of, like, how can I make that more palatable? How can I make that something that I want to lean into versus fear? And what else would I think of but my first friends, my real friends? Back at the school, not in school. School would be out of session. We would be there during the summer, as we sometimes were, not for summer school. But because it was empty, and because we had bikes and skateboards and toys, and we would go out there and we would run around and play. It was like our little world. It was like our own little playground. That's one of the few times in my life that I've really been free. Or at least it felt like it. And I know I could be happy there forever. So that's what I will probably still think of when I die. If I have the luxury of getting to choose. It's not them. It's just a memory. Memories aren't even recordings, It's not them. It's my impression of them. And that's all I get. That's all that I have to sustain me for the rest of my life. Memories of people who loved me. I don't think it's enough. I projected them onto every other friend I made. I gave them credit that they didn't deserve. Deflected blame that they should have taken. I let them take advantage of me for years and years and years. And just like my stupid dad, I thought I was showing great strength by normalizing all the suffering we were enduring. What we were doing was normalizing abuse. not just not just speed and direction, but like acceleration, like normalizing the act of normalizing abuse. And so, like, as much as I regret my choices, I should have been more open communicating with my friends, I should have been stronger on my own, more independent, I didn't get to choose. I tried repeatedly in my life to choose, and my parents took me away from everything that worked for me. I was a child. I did not have the power. They did, and they misused it. So, that is why I am a broken man. That is why I can never trust anybody. That is why I will never be truly happy. But I can still have a good time. I can still enjoy myself. I've rebuilt my shell. What you see before you is not a human being, but a facsimile of one, and not like not an artificial one. It's not a natural, like, healthy human. It's more like a zombie thing. But it's real. It's me. That's what I am. I don't know how else to put it, I'm figuring it out as I go. I just don't want people to come in with the wrong expectations. I'm not like a haha funny clown. I'm like he's kind of deranged clown. And there's good reason for that, and I'll try, not to spread the harmful parts. There's a lot we can learn from the pain without doing damage. It's just tricky. So, I've rebuilt my shell. It feels like coming back to social media for the first time in decades, like, or a decade, I don't remember. I don't remember when I left Facebook, long before it turned to Meta. Because I could tell it wasn't right. I could tell that I wasn't really connecting with people on there, and it was weird. But all the old people were like, oh, finally, Facebook is good, we can use it now. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess it's just a misinformation thing now, and normalizing stupidity now, like everything else now. And I had already been conditioned to not poop on their parade. I'd already been conditioned to think that trying to offer genuine criticism was being a killjoy. And so I was like, all right, they don't want me there, whatever. I'll just go somewhere else and let the rot spread, which was bad. I should have pushed back more against the people in my life, but they were all, more than willing to push me away. So I'm not really sure what else I could have done. But I do plan to keep going and, like, getting back onto Blue Sky, because I skipped Twitter, basically. It was like, oh, hey, there's people here. Oh, hey, they're reacting to the things that I'm saying. And I'd been alone for so long that the things I've been saying are, like, not as clear as I wanted them to be, sometimes not even accurate. And so over months of feedback, I've been refining that and trying to get better at expressing myself and my opinions, and finding where actually people disagree, and where, if I approach it the wrong way, will think they disagree when actually they don't. But it felt like, I don't know, like I was like a messenger or something, and I'd been running for years, and I finally collapsed into Blue Sky and was like, my parents have a death cult, they're killing us, everything, look what happened in my life, oh my god, I just want to get this message out before I die, is kind of how I approached it. Because I still, I'm by that point the election had happened, and I was thinking, like, worst case scenarios, I'm all on my own for this fascist regime. Like, the timing of everything is just terrible, and of course it all coincides because it was all a deliberate plan. But I had my meltdowns, right? I collapsed onto Blue Sky, and was scared that I might not have a future. And so I was like, I just need to get out whatever has happened so that people know, so that, smarter people than I, more capable people than I, can take this thing that I've been covering up my whole life because, my parents and everyone else don't want me to talk about it. And they can help other people who have suffered like I have suffered. And then I had this awkward thing of like, well, I'm here like on the ground, like they're gonna kill us, they're gonna kill us all, and they're just looking at me like, yeah, some of them are like, yeah, we know, we're working on it, or yeah, we know, what can we do? And some of them are like, no, they're not, you're crazy, and all these other like, it's just a crowd of people just kind of murmur of disapproval, murmur of confusion, and so I'm like, okay, y'all don't seem to be taking this seriously. And I think it's the only thing you can kind of do when you've been faced with like life or death, when your own survival has been jeopardized. And it's tough because everyone realizes that their lives are at stake, but you don't face it until it gets real, and that means something else to every person. It's frustrating because it's happened to me multiple times. Like, I was a smart kid with smart friends. They helped me break my conditioning, only for parents to take me away and plunge me right back under. They ruined my life multiple times. They are relentless abusers, and no one is stopping them. They're still out there lying. So I've had my collapses, I've had my meltdowns and breakdowns. I'll probably have more. My goal is not to hurt others. My goal is to help others. My goal is not to hurt myself, although it used to be. And I have, unfortunately, succeeded in some of that. I've got my hand here with sunken in knuckles on these two. And my pinky is like not the best. It feels weird. It still has feeling, not as much, and sometimes it tingles. But it still has feeling, and I can like flex it. I just popped it just now, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but I can still do that. And I've always had shaky hands. I think just from being nervous from my dad using me like his dad abused him. But like for now, I'm happy with it. Like I can still go, I can still do, but it's from punching a wall, and that sunk in 2 of my fingers because I guess I hit it pinky heavy. I've never been a very violent person. I don't know how to punch really, and so I hurt myself that way. And eventually, I think I'll probably have to go to like a hospital or something and maybe get prosthetic. I don't know because like it's a mess in here, like in here where all the fine nerves and bones and things all connect, and so I won't be surprised if I end up losing my fingers, at least a couple of them. But that was my own fault. I shouldn't have punched that wall. Wall didn't do nothing wrong. I just didn't know where else to express it. My friends were there in the house with me, but I couldn't talk to them. They didn't know me and I didn't know them. They weren't my friends. I gotta remember that. I gotta find a different word to use. My fiends! That sounds dumb. But yeah, that's where I'm at today, I guess. Could be worse. I don't plan to kill myself. I don't think I'll have to. I think we're in a fight to the death. We take out the fascists or they kill us. And my preferred method of subversion, by take out fascists, I mostly mean change their minds. I think it's possible for a lot of them. Obviously not. Well, I was going to say obviously not to Trump, but like, Trump doesn't have a mind. He's just there doing whatever they tell him to do. And I think that's the case with a lot of them. So I want to find the minds that we can change and see how far we can spread truth that way. I think it's a underrated point of attack that people aren't trying because, I don't know, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward. You feel bad when you try to talk to someone, talk reason into them, and they're like just not having it, not accepting reality. And especially when you know that the stakes are so high, you don't really want to talk to them. You don't like seeing them express things that you know will hurt others. And so it's kind of like you're taking psychic damage when you try to talk to some of these people. And, I quit my job last year because it was adding to the pressure and I needed to distance myself from everything, take a break, get some perspective. And having done that, I still don't have a job, which I'm grateful for because I can take the time to process these things, and I can almost treat it like a full-time job, getting online, talking to people, trying to change their minds. And a question that I get asked a lot is, how much of a difference do you think you're making? Do you really think you're changing anyone's minds here? And I don't know. I know it's possible, so I'm gonna try. What do you want me to do? Just die? No. Thought about it? No. So, I don't know what's most effective, but I know what my goals are. And that's why I face so much decision paralysis. Because there's so many things I could try. But it's unclear whether any of them are working. And as I was saying like 30 minutes ago, or whenever I got up to fill my water, I made a couple of Zelda Let's Plays. I guess I can get the suicidal ideation off of there now. I made a couple of Zelda Let's Plays recently, Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, because I love the Zelda series. Specifically, Ocarina of Time is the game that, like, hooked me into video games, into Zelda, made me feel like, okay, I can be happy no matter what, because this game exists. You know, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to get that kind of feeling from your family or something. I wouldn't know. But that video game sure made me feel loved. And I loved it too. But that video game didn't spring up out of nowhere. It's the 5th in a series. And so for my Let's Play series this year in 2025, as a grown-ass man, I thought it would be good to start from the start and try to express everything that, you know, led to the game that inspired me so much. But I don't know, I also feel like I already fucked up because my Zelda 1 coverage didn't really get into the history of it too much. I've never been much of a historian, more of a vibes guy, which is awkward because I'm so invested in cause and effect and truth. So I have been trying to learn more of my history lately. But even the things that I'm most passionate about, like Zelda, my issue with history is that there's so much happening all of the time, I cannot keep it straight. So as soon as I look away from the history book, I can't tell you for sure what happened in the past other than the big pieces, and they might not even be right, but the spirit is right. I can convey the spirit of history in a way that might be helpful. It's a very interesting story of how they got there from being a card game manufacturer and from going from that to toys. And it's also questions of like how were Japan and America interacting during those times? Because a lot of American culture has influenced Japanese culture, and a lot of Japanese culture has influenced American culture. And specifically in the 80s and 90s, things were very consumerist. There's a lot of push for media and toys, and a lot of the media was to sell toys. And so it makes sense to me that Nintendo would go from a card company to a toy company at that time. And it makes sense to me that they would then go from a toy company to a video game company in the 80s. But like I said, it's the spirit of history. I'm not conveying specifically what happened, what years, who talked to who made it possible. There are things that we could learn from all the details, too. And so, like, I guess that's part of my aversion to history, is that it's endless. You spend your whole life learning it, and you never finish. But it's like that for everything, right? Mostly, I guess. I guess not, because you can learn, what? Checkers? Checkers has been solved, I think. Tic-tac-toe has been solved. You can learn it, you know how to win every time, or at least tie, assuming you make no mistakes. And so even as I'm going through the Zelda series, from start to finish, or, you know, now, at my own pace for my own reasons, I'm not getting everything I want in there. And that's frustrating to me. Every video I make is not good enough for me. But I want to keep making videos because I know that, you know, videos that aren't perfect can still be good, can still convey information, can still entertain people, and even help people in a meaningful way. How, though? It's not as easy as it seems. It can be. And that's part of what's so frustrating about it. Like, the stupidest things will get picked up sometimes. I don't even want to say stupidest, but like the things you don't expect. And so how do you make something that you don't expect people to like, that's good enough for people to like, when you yourself don't have the confidence that it needs to actually succeed? Because you're too self-aware, I guess, or just too aware in general. So I'm not making videos in a vacuum. I'm making videos for people. I'm making videos because of reasons. I have goals. And I have ideas. And I'm trying to be responsive. I like the idea of streaming more in general. I like the idea of being live most of the time. It won't always be this high energy. I can promise you that now.